unquestionably world-class performance car. They've got performance, they've got sophistication, they've got handling, they've got braking, they've got all the things that you would look for in a world-class performance car, and they're about a third of the money of anything else. So bang for your buck, they are outstanding motor cars. The FPV range overall compares absolutely favourably with the very, very best. What it manages to do is to have very pin-sharp handling, great response from the steering. All the steering is redesigned, the steering rack's now ahead of the axle line. To give you an example, I recently drove a BMW M5, which is a V10 engine, one of probably the most premium sedans in the world, and I quite honestly would prefer to drive the FPV car. F6 and the GT are quite different in their character, and there's no way you'd ever confuse the two. Let's take the GT for the start. It's obviously a V8 engine. It's a lovely, throaty, much more responsive engine than you've ever had in the past. It answers the throttle much better. It's more free revving. It almost zings through its rev range. It is undeniably a V8 muscle car. The F6 is, whilst the body chassis unit is the same, the suspension is tuned for the 6-cylinder engine. It's also tuned for the power delivery of the F6, and the F6 is a turbo car, so it's quite different. So the GT is a dyed-in-the-wool V8 lover's car, and the F6 is probably something that people that may have in the past bought a Subaru STI or an Evo, Mitsubishi, things like that. The F6 will absolutely make their eyes water because it's tremendous performance. I mean, there's no doubt that the F6 is probably quicker as a car in a straight line race than the GT. But in day-to-day driving, if you take it on a good country road somewhere, or driven it, I've done lots of my testing at the Ford Proving Ground, the GT point-to-point is probably just as quick. So they're just different types of characters, and I think the beauty of the FPV range is that you get a choice. You can make a choice. You don't have to buy a V8 if you don't want to, and you don't have to buy a Turbo 6 if you don't want to. There's something for everybody. The reason to choose an FPV is manifold, really. I'll tell you a story. A very good friend of mine has owned lots of exotics, and he actually owned the BA GT number 18 after the number 18 car that I drove for Dick Johnson. So he was an FPV owner, then he bought an M3 BMW, then he bought an M5 BMW, and the most recent car he's had was an Audi RS4, which is without question, very, very fine motor car, but $160,000 plus. He's just sold it, and he's just ordered a new FPV F6 because value for money and performance for money, the things you get for your dollar, there is absolutely no comparison in the world. This is an outstanding car. The whole FPV range are outstanding cars. We've got something here that we should be very proud of. Australian muscle car icons, but equal to the best in the world. They really are tremendous motor cars. One thing I really would like to say though is make some comment about Sinclair Ford. Sinclair Ford make the whole FPV experience quite special. It's something that, in my experience, no other Ford dealer in Australia does. They have a very special privileged owners club. We have all sorts of activities, drive days, outings. I'm part of it. I'm proud to be part of it. I love it. I love the owners, and prospective owners are going to love this car. These cars are just the best, and you'll get the best service, you'll get the best deal, and most of all, you'll have the best experience if you go and see Sinclair Ford. Hamilton Urquhart's a mate of mine. We've got to be friends over the last few years. He loves the cars, he loves the products, and he loves looking after his customers. So if you take my advice, go and see Hamo at Sinclair Ford.